Aye, that's right, the Fiesta has gone. It was a good little car. Dead cheap to run, super practical, and actually really good fun to drive, but it was never going to stay long. I could have milked the living daylights out of it. The one video that I made solely on it did pretty well, to be honest, but they're just boring as to look at, aren't they? And I couldn't be chewed making a load of videos on it just for the sake of it. Enough about the ST though, this one is all about its replacement, and she is a beauty. I've got a few plans lined up for this one too, you'll be glad to hear, unless you're our lass. So yeah, let me take you around the new automobile and let's have a chat about what might be happening to it whilst I've got the keys to it. Are you ready? Let's get into it. I can honestly say I didn't ever see the day coming where I'd have not one but two two-seater Hondas parked on my driveway, but here we are. It was only a year ago my only car was the Green Goblin, a 2-year-old M140i, and well, look at me now. I've got a 30-year-old pickup and a 22-year-old convertible with VTEC. Living the fucking dream. I'll hold my hands up and be the first to admit that the S2000 was never a car that I'd always dreamed of owning, but with its reputation that it's built up over the last 23 years and the fact that they seem to be going up in price slowly, I thought, you know what, I might as well pull the trigger on one while I can still afford it, in case they turn into the next S15 or DC5 which go for silly money now. And this one came up for sale literally 10 minutes down the road, so I couldn't say no. It might not be the tidiest S2000 that was on the market, but for a 22-year-old car, it sure has to be up there with one of the most solid, rust-free examples to grace UK roads from day one, apart from a questionable cover-up with hammerite on the rear arches. I'll take you around all the little dents and dings in a minute, but first, let me just quickly get you up to speed on what this car actually is. So if you can do basic maths, then you'll have worked out that this car in particular was from the year 2000. With it being one of the earlier models, it's called an AP1. The later models from 2004 to 2009 were called an AP2. Pretty inventive name if you ask me. There are quite a few differences between the two cars as well, it's not like one just got a little bit of a facelift, no. The AP2 was a little bit fatter, 25 kilos to be precise, had a softer suspension setup, used a slightly larger displacement F-series engine which didn't rev as high, and well, yeah, it did have an updated look to it as well. If you want to know more about both cars, then go check out Donut Media's video if you haven't already, because they've covered everything, so I don't have to. Basically, there are upsides to owning an AP1 over an AP2, and vice versa. So in this AP1, I've got a 2-litre F20 engine producing around 235 to 240 brake horsepower, which gets delivered to the rear wheels through an LSD, and it revs like no other car that I've owned before. I'm talking like 9,000 RPM, which is stupid. I have actually recorded my first drive in this thing, but I'm going to save that for another video because I think it deserves to be separate to this one. Spoiler alert, it's pretty good. Anyway, let's have a closer look around it to see what needs to be sorted and discuss what I potentially have in store for it as well. Let me hand it over to real life Luke now, in a bit. So here it is, my new to me Honda S2000 AP1, or pre-facelift, depending on where you are in the world. I've just came back from giving it a thrashing, that's why it's absolutely filthy, but good news, I like it. It's pretty much mechanically perfect. There's a couple of little noises that I need to investigate at the back. Mainly it's sort of like a whistling noise, so it's probably something to do with the roof or with the rear spoiler, but I'll check everything out, get it up on the ramp and just make sure that it's all okay. Speaking of having it up on a ramp, there is next to no rust on the underside of it, which for a UK car which is 22-year-old, it's phenomenal really. There is some slight bubbling on the rear arches, which is a place I've been told they tend to go quite often, so before it makes it round onto this edge, I think I'm going to try and get all that sorted out and sort of preempt it. Same with down here as well. I think there might have been a slight touch of rust coming through. We'll get that sorted. We'll get it looking pretty again. Apart from the whistling noises that I could hear at sort of the back, either from this rear spoiler or from the roof, there's nothing wrong with the car apart from a bit of bodywork. There's a couple of little dings and dents. There's a new petrol filler cap because there is a chunk taken out of it in the boot, so I can swap that over easy enough. It's just really annoying stuff, like door dings, quite deep ones there to be honest, but we'll probably be able to get them sorted out, no bother. New wing mirror caps needed, but again, absolutely nothing of a job. Fairly sure that the bonnet is aluminium, so that must just be sort of a paint bubble under there after a stone chip or something, so we can sort that out easy enough. And then it's just a case of trims that need changing. The plastics have faded, the splitter's held on with self-tapping screws, which, you know, it's not the nicest thing to look at. I'm really glad that the previous owner has had the roof done, so that's one thing that I'm not going to have to worry about, because that's usually quite a big expense, about 800 quid to £1,000 to get that redone. Usual stuff on the rear bumper, a couple of little scratches when you're taking stuff in and out the boot, but you can't really help that, can you? Wheels definitely need a refurb. I quite like them actually. They're I think the 𝙁𝙍𝙊𝙆 Model 7s, so I think they're a forged wheel. I'll have to look into that. So what we need to do is just take them off, clean the hubs up, new discs, new pads, and maybe some new rubber as well, because these 𝙁𝙍𝙊𝙆 Advanced Sport aren't my favourite, and I am going to be driving this through the winter, so they're not great in the wet. But yeah, apart from that, it is just bodywork. If we look inside though, there's not much that needs to be done in here. The interior is in really, really good nick. Everything's original. The instrument cluster is to die for. I absolutely love it. Everything's sort of in reach of the steering wheel. I might treat myself to a new wheel because that one is starting to look a little bit worn, but the seats, which were my sort of main concern, are in really good nick. There's a couple of little cracks, but nothing's worn through to sort of like the cloth beneath, taking the leather off. There's no chunks taken out of the base of the seat or anything like that, which you'd expect with people wearing jeans and stuff, but I've never done it before. But you can dye the carpet back to sort of like the original bright red, because it's just faded with the sun over the years, but no, absolutely love it. So, there we have it. New car, and one that I might actually make some videos on. So if you're one of those weirdos who likes to listen to me ramble on, then hopefully you like S2000s as well. Because as you can tell, this thing is going to take a little bit of work to get it back to its former glory, and I'm going to try and document all of it. That's it for now though. Stay tuned, because I'm going to be dropping the first drive video very soon before I start doing any work on this thing. And yeah, remember to do all of the usual stuff. Like, comment, subscribe. It makes a bigger difference than you realise. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!